The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Welcome into My State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke. On this rainy Tuesday, we're taking a look at the small business community again here in Rhode Island and trying to keep our tabs on the cash flow that it so desperately needs in the form of grants and perhaps even a loan guarantee program. And unfortunately, there's some politics that have gotten in the way here that aren't healthy. And, you know, as a citizen, you and business owner, perhaps, you have the right, I think, and the obligation to take a look and figure out, you know, who's doing the best, smartest work on behalf of this economy, really. Let's take a look at Eyewitness News package, and then we're going to talk to Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee again this week about continuing initiatives by rismallbusiness.org and some politics that are not very healthy. First, this is a reminder of some of the coverage on this matter that Eyewitness News has put together.
Rhode Island small businesses getting an answer to their calls for more financial assistance.
Our goal is twofold: get the money on the street into your pocket as fast as possible, but also to do it right.
The governor announcing she'll devote $100 million to help local small businesses, some of that funding coming from the $1.25 billion in federal coronavirus relief money that Rhode Island has received so far. $50 million will soon be available to hard-hit businesses in the form of grants. Commerce Secretary Stephen Pryor says the application for those grants of up to $15,000 per business will be posted within 2 weeks, and money should start to flow about a month after that.
We also want to ensure that we're investing in businesses that are open for business or planning to open in the near future.
The governor saying Wednesday she's heard another complaint from businesses, particularly those near the beaches, that customers are harassing their employees over COVID-19 regulations. She says the crowds at the beaches need to be reined in, announcing parking at Misquamicut and Scarborough will be reduced to just 25% starting on Thursday.
I'm sorry that we have to do this, but it's necessary. It got out of control last weekend.
Raimondo said last month state beaches saw 50,000 more cars than they did last year and is encouraging people with plans to go to the beach to think twice.
Don't think that you can just park illegally on the streets nearby and walk to the beach, because we are going to seriously crack down on that starting this weekend. 70% of the people who go to Misquamicut Beach are not from Rhode Island. So I hope they get the memo and don't come.
So with no further ado, Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, broadcast for Tuesday evening originally, but recorded yesterday afternoon. Certainly, we're not projecting this kind of weather for the Tuesday night, that's for sure, based on the tropics. But yesterday afternoon was a beautiful day. And Lieutenant Governor actually on the road working on some of this small business marketing concepts, looking for the grants, looking for the loans. Lieutenant Governor, welcome. What is it that you were working on yesterday? What caught you in this beautiful sunshine?
Yeah, so we're working with Lori Jatari and Visual Thrives, and she's one of the businesses that helped the RI Small Business Coalition form. And she's doing this fantastic video about Rhode Island and the impact that the pandemic is having on our small businesses and kind of a future outlook. So she's interviewing myself and several businesses today to talk about the challenges that we have, but also a very optimistic, vision in terms of where we can be in terms of small business friendliness as a direct result of the activity that's been going on for the last several weeks and the exposure that you're providing, Dan, and others, to give the small business story to our leaders as well as to the general public, how important they are to our cities and towns.
Yeah, let's go backwards for a little bit. And talk about, where we are and where we've been. I mean, you and I have had conversations now probably a half a dozen times between television and radio regarding the work that you've been doing. But this coalition that has been formed, this rismallbusiness.org website that has been built, has really gained some significant momentum and has become its own political advocacy entity as well. We'll talk about that in just a second. But this is kind of an organic growth of what seems like now hundreds, if not thousands, of business in the state. Remind everybody how it started.
Yeah, started with, I chair the Small Business Advocacy Council in the state of Rhode Island, and I saw an obligation that our office should continue doing that work. When the COVID pandemic hit, our businesses were hit very strongly. So initially we had a short Friday call in March with a number of the businesses that we've visited over the years, and I asked them, what do you want to do? And if you want to help out, give me a call. And they did. And from that, Justin helped set up the rismallbusiness.org for a gift certificate forward program. That's when Chris Parisi came forward and then added his media and marketing skill sets. And then Laurie came in shortly after that. Laurie Jatari came in shortly after that. And since then, thousands of businesses have registered in this coalition. And a direct result of it was a petition that was signed by better than 4,000 small business supporters that said, look, we need to provide every help that we can, including, as you know, putting out grants through the COVID federal funds of $125 million. That was our ask. And I think it's going to continue. You can see just me being on site here with Laurie today, the energy is going to continue, Dan, and the story is going to unfold in a way that I think is going to be very, very important. Big opportunity right now for our small businesses to really have their voice heard, and also to make sure that the people respond in a way that's positive for our small businesses. That's so critical to our cities and towns in the state.
So you mentioned the Small Business Advocacy Council. That's attached by charter statute, to the Lieutenant Governor's office?
Yeah, it's statute, and it has me chairing, and we have meetings every other month right now. We've actually brought those meetings on the road over the last year, visiting communities, bringing small businesses, letting them know that they have someone that's listening, and so then we're listening and trying to respond to that, and that's how it put us in a spot where, we're just not making this up and all of a sudden kind of like injecting ourselves into the conversation here in a way that is not, not germane to our office, Dan, right? The small business advocacy has been part of our office. We continue to visit, we've been on these 39 tours of farms or manufacturers or coffee shops or used car dealers. So we had a large group of people that already understood that our office, myself, was a big supporter, and we want to do everything we could. So that was an easy transition, and it was one where you didn't have to all of a sudden, make up an initiative just to get your voice heard out there. This was something that we've been working on for years.
Well, you're answering the questions in a way that almost feels defensive. And when we come back, we're gonna talk about that, because there's been a little bit of turbulence here in his office that I think has reached a not productive level. We'll talk about that when we come back on Dan Yorke State of Mind with Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee. Please stay with us.
Thanks, Dan.
Here on this, originally for the Tuesday evening, you may see this show another time, but the original broadcast here is first week of August on a Tuesday. Yesterday was Wednesday, McKee, and Monday afternoon. Lieutenant Governor is out on a commercial show. I've been doing. In the last, you like when you're talking about time to the Lieutenant Governor's office, you sounded a little defensive. Now, I'm going to put my cards on the table. I've been advocating for your advocacy since the beginning. The small business, they're not funded. Grants and liquidity of other kinds, there won't be much of a community going. I'm going to remind you on another program on Gene Valicenti's show this past weekend about your role and your advocacy and the momentum that your efforts have brought to, and the petition drive brought to the governor's office. She dismissed that you had any impact. She suggested that you're a backseat driver, in her words, and that you haven't even participated in the Zoom calls that she had put together for state officers. That doesn't follow the track of fact pattern that I've been following here for the last few months. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I didn't understand, quite frankly, where the governor was going on those comments, personalizing it in a way that I don't think that has been consistent with the relationship that the governor and I have had. Look, we're sticking to the policy issues. She wanted to kind of divert from that, talking about backseat and being a backseat driver, and also, using this platform. That's why I mentioned that our office is very, very much involved with small business advocacy. So this is a natural one for us. So this is, she kind of indicated that maybe I was using this for political gain, using the virus for political gain, Dan. That, I don't want to even, I don't want to even, respond to that, to tell you the truth. I mean, we're doing the work to help these small businesses. And then as far as the calls go, I don't know why she would, say that we weren't on the calls. I'm on every call that I can be, which is the majority of them. And then the ones that I'm not able to be on, our office calls in and lets the governor's office know that we're going to have somebody representing us in those calls. So we're very, very involved in every single call. So that didn't make sense to me, but it does give us this, it does indicate that her staff, the governor's staff, the governor, Commerce Secretary, are all responding to the urgency that this coalition of small businesses have put together. And of course, I've had a great deal to do with that.
Look, I'm not big on digging into the minutia, but the minutia, where the governor went, you're correct. She was asked, the question was framed in a way that suggests that, hey, you're running for governor. So this is part of a political effort on that level. Well, look, good politics is good politics if it's community service, if it adds to the quality of life. Politics is not necessarily a dirty word, but that the inference, that the question directed the frame of this to be that you're motivated by political outcome. Because you get elected to governor, she jumped right on that. I'd rather say, I don't know. And I'm vexed by her going at you in that particular manner. And she hasn't picked up the phone. She hasn't called you about it. You guys haven't talked, had a coffee about it. Rhode Islanders don't want this. Rhode Islanders do not want this. At the same time, you can't cower and just let her say those things. And I don't think she was telling the truth. You tell me what the clarify the government likes this thing, how they marry it all. I'm sorry.
Yes. So the governance, we've talked about this, Dan. The governance is separate. We're separate and apart. We're not part of the administration, lieutenant governor, the way that we, that we are elected. And I'm not objecting to that. We're continuing to doing the work that we have done in the past and continue to do it. But the one thing I can tell you right now, referring to this work and all the work that's happening by the small business, and Lori in particular doing on her own this video today about this beautiful state that we live in and the small businesses impact, this is not a sideshow. And to refer to this as a sideshow, I can tell you that the small business community is going to be offended by considering the work to help the small businesses out of our office to be a sideshow. This is the show that we should be focused on, right? This is our main show, right? So let me decline this call. Hold on a second. Decline that call. And yeah, we're back. So yeah, this is not a sideshow. This is the real lives of the majority of the people who live in the state of Rhode Island. Tens of thousands of small businesses. They rely on the incomes from their businesses to raise their family. So do the people who work in those small businesses. So to refer to this as a sideshow, kind of an afterthought type of process, no, this is the big show right now in terms of the economy and what it means to the state of Rhode Island to support our small businesses.
So when we come back, I want to talk about the travel of the ask of the money you were looking for, what the governor actually responded with, and what has not yet occurred, and your other idea, which I think is huge, that is flooding the economy with $1 billion.
Yes.
We'll talk about that when we return. Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee on My State of Mind. Please stay with us.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan Yorke, Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, in a program that it was originally recorded on Monday. You're seeing this on. Governor, the ask from the Small Business Group was $125 million. That was 10% of the $1.25 billion stimulus that was sent for all purposes of COVID here. The governor has admitted that she's been holding back, hundreds of millions of dollars. She responded with a $50 million grant program. She talks about $100 million worth of investment with some job training stuff and, picking companies, trying to assign. And listen, whatever creativity the governor's office wants to bring to the table, that's fine. They're running the show. But it still fell short of what your ask was. She says, no matter what you ask for, it's too short. So what's the real solution here? And what are you guys still advocating for past what seems to be a very slow grant process anyway?
Yeah, so $50 million is not a small amount of money, but the way that they're going to distribute it, there are winners and losers, Dan, and I think we're going to see that. There's certain businesses that don't get at least 50% of loss of revenue that are struggling, that are not going to be eligible for this. One business, a printing business, they've lost 36% of the revenue. They're not going to qualify because their category needs to have at least 50% loss. So you're going to, we have childcare, owners that are calling me saying that they're not going to qualify either. So you're going to have a number of businesses that qualify and a number don't. Our goal right now is to get the $50 million out as fast as we can to the businesses that do qualify, but continue the demand or the ask for at least another 75 million that gets distributed in a way that is not as restrictive as it is right now. And the point that the governor made, I've said it over and over again. These grants buy time. They also buy goodwill. So the businesses that are being, not allowed to qualify for this first round, they're going to walk away with a very sour taste in their mouth. And we can't have that happen. We need to use this as a positive reinforcer that we care about the businesses in the state of Rhode Island, make it as broad as we can, put another $75 million at a minimum out in grants. I mean, if you've got 20,000 people with $5,000, they're going to be happy. They're going to say, hey, we cared about them. We know that the money is not going to save them. So that's why the next phase is how do we get favorable loans out on the street in a way that really is aggressive. That's what we've talked about before. It says, look, get state guarantees, partner in them with SBA guarantees, organize all your banking institution and the leadership of those bank institutions, have them going above and beyond where they need to go. These are extraordinary times. And then put out favorable loan strategies, low interest, no principal payments, whatever we come up with to allow these businesses to borrow money. When their back's against the wall, Dan, and that decision is to close or to borrow money, they're going to want to borrow money. This is the time to stop putting the planning in for a very aggressive loan program. Put $1 billion out on the street in the next 12 months to 18 months. We're going to save a number of businesses. And then in turn, I'll just say this, as a former mayor and as a small business person, if I have trouble paying my bills, I pay my payroll, I pay my utilities, I pay my vendors of products that I need to sell. The last on the list is my local property taxes and my state taxes, because I will use them as a bank and I'll pay the penalty. That's why you want to make sure that these businesses are viable, and the way you do it is you get them cash through grants and cash through loans.
All right. Well, it's a long answer, but a good one. I'm just. People are going to say, how do you guarantee $1 billion? The feds, through the Small Business Administration here, have already said that they could do $250 million in loan guarantee. With the state falling apart budgetarily, and I only have a minute here to explain, how can the state put a guarantee for $750 million worth of loans? How does that work?
So that they can put, look, we put $100 million out in a form of a bond for a baseball player that never ran a business. So I'm not saying that we would bond these dollars. I just say you would guarantee them. And then so you guarantee $100 million and you leverage that 10 times or more. When you bring the SBA in, they can actually guarantee a good portion of the loans as well. Gives the banks the flexibility to manage these loans. So you're basically putting your guarantee out, not in cash, but we're also exploring whether in fact you could use that COVID federal money as part of the guarantee, which would be an interesting one as well. But the way you do it is you do some guarantees and then you leverage those guarantees, Dan.
Okay. All right. We'll stay in touch with that.
All right. Take a shot. You got to see the water. Go ahead. Turn around. You got to see the water. Come on.
Go.
Look at Rhode Island. Isn't this a great place to be? We got to make sure we protect those small businesses so we can protect the state of Rhode Island.
Well, we always have the water. Lieutenant Governor, thanks. Final word and we come back on My State of Mind. Stay with us. We got to get the politics out of the small business economy conversation and the cooperation by everybody who's got a hand in this, which means the governor, lieutenant governor, and a whole bunch of other entities, and get on the same page. Pointing fingers about who's running for what and who's got a motive for what is not going to help us at all whatsoever. You have a great night. Talk to you on the radio at 3 until 6 on WPRO as well. Take care.